Also, what needs to happen in order for Brazil to unlock its potential in terms of qualified people to meet the future demands of the country?
Well, to me, we have an industrial age model of education. If somebody was frozen here in São Paulo 100 years ago, and then they miraculously were thawed out today, and they looked around at the professions, doctor in an operating theater, a pilot in a jumbo jet, an engineer designing a building, they'd think, wow, has the world ever changed? And technology has been at the heart of these changes. If they walked into a typical classroom or a university lecture hall, they'd look around and they'd breathe a sigh of relief. They'd say, well, I recognize this. The model of learning, the model of pedagogy, has remained unchanged in centuries. And it's basically a industrial model, a broadcast model. I'm a teacher, I have knowledge, you're a student, you don't. Get ready, here it comes. And in the schools, your job is to take my transmission into short-term active working memory and through practice and repetition to build deeper cognitive structures so you can recall it to me when I test you. Drill and kill. Sage on the stage. To me, the lecture is the process whereby the notes of a lecturer go to the notes of a student without going through the brains of either. Now, what's wrong with this model? Well, it's teacher-focused, it's one way, it's one size fits all, and the student is isolated in the learning process. We can now move towards a new model. And the reason that we need to do this is not just that we have a new communications platform and a technology platform that can change learning, but we also have a new generation of young people that have grown up digital. They've been watching a lot less television and they're spending more time with interactive media. And they learn differently. They don't learn well by being broadcast to. Mm-hmm. So what we need to do is to move towards a different model. And you can see that model today in Portugal. I mean, here's Portugal, this company that has no money. It has a sovereign debt crisis. But they build a public-private partnership so that every child, K to 12, is getting a laptop connected to a high-speed network in the classroom. And it's not about the technology. It's that the technology enables a change in the relationship between the student and the teacher in the learning process. Mm-hmm. So I go into this class in Portugal, 7-year-olds, and the teacher, rather than lecturing, says, okay, kids, today we're going to study astronomy. Go to your astronomy blog, and they go to this solar system on their laptops, and she says, today we're going to study the equinox. Who knows what an equinox is? Nobody knows. She says, okay, you know the deal. The deal is go find out. Do it by yourself, partner up, create a little group. Class explodes. Kids are running around. They're looking over each other. They're on Portuguese Google and Wikipedia, and they're trying to figure out what an equinox is. And then one group figures it out. They put up their hand, and we know, and they're explaining it to the class, and the other kids are asking questions. The teacher's not a data transmitter. She's curating a highly collaborative, customized learning experience for these kids. And the kids are loving the equinox. They're loving astronomy. They're loving learning, and they're learning how to learn for the 21st century.
Mm-hmm. So in the technology sector in particular, which is one of the areas that Brazil needs qualified people the most, the scale of new entrants that is needed is simply not appearing. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to say about that? You have a new generation that is grown up digital, but they're just not interested in technology mm-hmm. as a career.
Yeah. Well, they will become interested in STEM. It's called science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And there's a big shortage in STEM skills in the marketplace. And when young people graduate and they find out that they don't have the kind of abilities that are required by the marketplace, they're going, over time, people are going to understand, no, we need to get into these areas. But there's another point here, too, that I think that undergraduate, that students should study something they love. you see. They shouldn't view the university as a way of getting skills, because, you know, when I was a kid, I graduated, I had some skills, and I was set for life. All I had to do was keep up in my chosen field. Now, it turns out I took a different field, but kids today, when they graduate, they're not set for life. They're set for like 15 minutes. And if you took a technical course, half of what you learned in the first year is obsolete by the time you get to the fourth year. So it's not what you know that counts. It's your capacity to learn, and to learn lifelong, to think, to solve problems, to put things in context, to collaborate. That's point number one. Point number two is, what is the purpose of the schools? To me, it's not simply to give people workforce skills. We need a lot more than that. We need good citizens, for example. And I think it's unfortunate when kids only study in an area of technology and they don't study broader disciplines. You know, take a philosophy course. You know, you want to be an accountant? Take some ethics courses. You know, maybe if those people at Anderson Consulting that burned all those files around Enron, or destroyed all those files, had taken an ethics course at university, they would have stopped and thought for a second, maybe that's not something that I should be doing. So I think a liberal arts undergraduate education is actually a good way to equip yourself for a knowledge economy.
Would another way to solve this problem? A lot of executives say, we have people with technical skills, but we're looking for something else, for that blend, that magical blend of business and technical skills. Would the solution be to retrain people, perhaps?
Well, we need lifelong learning. And, you know, you're going to change your knowledge base multiple times throughout life, which is another reason why we need, a country like Brazil needs to have a whole education plan, not just for the schools, but for lifelong learning, for retraining, for reorientation. And that lifelong learning platform can also be a platform whereby new knowledge gets created as well. Just like, you know, in healthcare, you have something like Patients Like Me for rare diseases. People with Lou Gehrig's disease go to Patients Like Me. They collaborate to learn, but they're also creating a platform upon which medicine and science is learning a lot as well. We're building up our knowledge base as a society.
So in terms of lifelong learning, a lot of managers here in Brazil see that as a burden, to take a graduate from school and teach them about human capital management, for example. How does a country change that mindset?
Well, it's all about learning, really. And it's about learning as an organization having the capacity to learn and change and evolve in this new environment. But it's also about learning for individuals too, because your knowledge base is sort of like a milk carton. It has a time stamp on it, and it's going to go sour, you know, really fast if you're not constantly refreshing it. So this is a fundamental part of building a knowledge economy and moving us into a new age of networked intelligence.